start by sharing my screen with you all. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Some aspects of declarer play where it's often a good idea if you're going to lose one or more tricks, it often works out better if you lose them early on. So if you are watching this video afterwards on YouTube, send me an email if you'd like to join these lessons. I'll send you the link. And also on YouTube, you'll see the links below in the comment field, which allow you to replay the hands that we've looked at. So that's what we're talking about, declare play, where you need to think about losing a trick and the best time to do so. So let's start off with what I hope is a fairly simple one. You open 2 no trump. That shows in ACOL normally a 20 to 22 point hand. I think in standard American, it's normally 20 to 21 points. But North passes and West leads the Queen of Spades. And you can see that North has only got 3 points, so it's probably right to pass. And in a no trump contract, we'll start by counting our top tricks, which are what? 2 spades, 1 heart, and 2 clubs. So counting those 5 top tricks. And obviously, we're hoping to make more. We could make more in hearts, perhaps, and in particular in clubs. And it's in the club situation that you need to think about here, because you've got 8 clubs between you and dummy, and the opponents have got 5. So the way to play the clubs is to give up a club early on. You have no entries to the north hand. So what you're hoping to do is find that the clubs divide evenly, 3 in one hand and 2 in the other. And in that case, you'll lose a club, but you'll be able to make 4 club tricks. So we'll win that first trick, and you may as well lose your first club right away. So we're hoping we get a 3-2 distribution, and we have to lose a trick. If they come back with a spade, we'll win that. And now, of course, we got to win in the shorthand, play the ace of clubs. And if everyone follows, now you know there's just 1 club out, and you'll be able to run the rest of the club. So you do that, that's the king, and you can cash the 7 and the 6 of clubs. So that's 6 tricks there. And now what? Well, if you lead a heart, you can try a heart finesse. It's slightly risky to do that, because if the heart finesse fails and West wins, they may be able to cash some spades. On the other hand, maybe they'll lead a diamond that will help you make a trick in diamonds. So let's suppose you decide to take the risk of the finesse, and this time it works. You make your jack of hearts, and you can't finesse again, of course, so maybe just cash the ace. And if Easter's discarded poorly, he'll play the king there, and you can actually make a 9th trick with your last heart. After that, if you play a diamond, West will win, and West can actually claim because they've got 2 top spades left. But you'll make 9 tricks if you play that that way. I hope you can see that if you start playing the clubs with the ace and then the king, you're never going to make more than 2 club tricks, because you'll never be able to get to dummy to run the club. So that's a relatively simple example of losing a trick early on. Let's try another one, and this time we're going to look at a suit contract here. You open a spade, and your partner bids 2 spades, and I think this hand is worth a jump to 4 spades there. You've got 17 points, 5 spades. So anyway, you bid 4 spades, and the opponents leave the Queen of Hearts, and down comes dummy, and it's a slightly disappointing dummy, because it's only got 3 spades and it's only got 5 points. But nonetheless, I think that was a reasonable bid over the intervening 2 heart bid. So we've got to make a plan here about how we're going to play this suit. And I'd like to start off by counting your potential losers uh, in this contract. Let's suppose you play low from dummy and East plays the ace. So you're going to make a trick now with your king. But I'd like you to think about how many potential losers you have. And the way to do that is assuming you draw all the opponent's trumps first, how many potential losers would you be left with? So let me launch that poll. And the question is, how many potential losers do you have here? Have a look at the results. And the most popular response was 4, which was 38%, followed by 5, and then 3, and then 2. So let's switch back and see if we can work it out. So the way I phrased the question was to say if you drew trumps first, and in that case, we'd have the following losers. No spades, but we're in danger of losing 2 hearts there. We've got the king will make a trick, but we've got the 5 and 3 are losers, so that's 2 losers there. We've got 2 potential losers in diamonds, and we've got 1 potential loser in clubs. So the correct answer is 5. Of course, there are different ways you can try to minimize those options. And I said, assuming you drew trumps first, and of course, many of you may decide not to draw trumps here because by delaying drawing trumps, you might be able to ruff some of your losers in dummy. And we're actually going to play this at least 2 different ways. So let's see how it goes. East here has overtaken the queen with the ace. That was almost certainly a good play because he knows from the lead that West has got a sequence headed by the queen, and he knows that de Clare has got the king. So there's only one heart trick available to the defense. And East now switches to a trump. And if East finds this defense, what they're doing is they're cutting down on your ability to ruff losers in dummy. So let's suppose you win this one with the ace. And if you adopt the plan of trying to ruff your losers, let's see what happens. We can play the king of hearts and now play the 5 of hearts, which we ruff. And we have a diamond loser that we'd like to ruff in dummy as well. But for that to happen, we need to get back to our hand. So you might try a diamond to the ace, and then maybe another diamond. But when West gains the lead, if they have a trump, you should not be surprised to see them play it because they can see what you're doing. You're delaying drawing trumps, and they played the spade so that you can't do any more ruffing. Now what's going to happen is you might play the ace of clubs. They'll lose a club. If they play a diamond now, you're going to lose that, but claim the rest. So played that way, you'll make just 9 tricks there. That's against good defense because they tried to prevent you from ruffing in dummy. And they drew 2 rounds of trumps so that you're only able to ruff once in dummy. How else could you play this hand? Well, the other possibility is to think about establishing the club suit. And you have 8 clubs here, 6 in dummy, 2 in your own hand. And maybe if the clubs divide normally, as you can see they do here, you'll have a chance to establish that suit by ruffing. So let's try and play it that way. And again, if they lead the queen of hearts and they take their ace and then they lead a trump, You might now instead see how it goes if you can establish the club suit. And what you want to do here is play a low club from your hand and let them win the first one. Don't be tempted to win this one. Let them win that. And let's suppose they continue with trumps. Very important for you to win that in your own hand, because you need to keep that jack of spades as an entry to run the clubs when they are set up. So what I'm going to do is play the ace of clubs, play another club, which I'm going to ruff high. And you can see there's only one trump out. He's got the last trump. So what I can do is, now the clubs are established, I can just play a spade over to the jack. It draws the last trump, and I can now cash 3 clubs and discard my remaining losers. And played that way, I can actually make 11 tricks rather than the 9 that I made by trying to ruff. And it's quite important on this one, when you play the clubs here, not to win the first club. I've got a third way to play this, which is similar to the other one. But if you start by winning the first trick with the ace, you can run out of entries to dummy. So you might play similarly as before, losing that club. If they play a spade now, well, now to be able to play any more clubs, you have to win that one in dummy. And now you probably won't have any more entries. So you can play another club, which you can ruff, but now you don't have a way to get back to the north hand. Whatever I play, I can play a heart and ruff a heart. That works, but I haven't drawn all the trumps yet. There's still a trump out, and I can't draw the trump and cash any more clubs. So played that way was similar to the other way, but I'm unable to run the clubs. So at the end, I'm going to lose 2 diamonds there and only make 9 tricks again. So this kind of situation here, it's often a good idea to lose the first trick rather than winning it. It makes it a little bit easier to run the suit, especially if you need that when you've only got 1 entry here to the north hand. Do interrupt me if you've got any questions on this. It's quite a tricky one. And I want to come to another one that's quite tricky. This was one that I sent out at the weekend. And you open a heart, the opponent's bid a spade, your partner bids 2 diamonds, 2 spades, 3 hearts, and you end up in 4 hearts. And the opponents here lead the queen of spades. And I'd like you to think again about your potential losers. And again, think about it, if you were to draw all the opponent's trumps, how many potential losers would you have left? So that's the first part of this poll. How many potential losers do you have here? And the second part is, let's suppose you win this first trick with the ace of spades. Which suit are you going to play at trick 2? So here comes the second and last poll of the evening. Just 2 questions in it. How many potential losers do you have? And what are you going to play at trick 2? You may need to scroll down to see the second question. Let's have a look at the results. And for the first part, most of you have said 4. That's 61%. And for the second one, a slight majority, 42%, said a club followed by a diamond and a heart. So let's switch back and see if we can work this out. So the number of losers is as follows. So I'll just go back 1 trick. You don't have any spade losers because you've got a doubleton opposite the ace king. And you're not expecting to lose any hearts because you've got good trump. You've got one diamond to lose, and you have clubs to lose. And the number of clubs you have to lose is 3. If you draw the opponent's trumps, you could easily be left with 3 club losers as well as 1 diamond loser. So I agree it's 4 potential losers. Now, you might not, if, for example, if the clubs, missing clubs there are 6 of them. If they were divided 3-3, your last club would be good. But if they're not, then you might lose all 3 of your low clubs there. So I agree it's 4 potential losers. And the way you can try and avoid one of those losers is by roughing a club in dummy. Now, to do that, you're going to have to play low clubs and lose tricks. And, I find a lot of players don't like doing that, playing low cards and losing them. But let's have a look at this played in different ways and see which one works out best. So let's suppose you win that spade, and suppose you decide to draw trumps first. You've got 9 trumps, so you might be hoping that they divide evenly, 2-2. So you start with the queen, play another trump, but East discards, and now if you want to draw the last trump, it will take the last trump from dummy. And now you're probably going to lose a diamond, and you could lose 3 clubs. I'll just bring up the 4 hands, and you can see that I might play a diamond. Whatever they play, I can win a spade. I can cash the ace of clubs. And at the end, I'm going to play off the clubs. I may as well play some more hearts in the hope that the opponents will discard something that may help me. But if they don't discard anything helpful, when I play the clubs, they're going to take a club there. And if West leads a spade, I can rough it with my last trump, but I'm going to end up losing the last 2 tricks, and I'll just make 9 tricks there. You might think that maybe you could draw a couple of rounds of trumps and then play the clubs. Let's see what happens if we do that. We'll play exactly as before, just drawing 2 rounds. But when we discover the bad break, we leave that 10 of hearts out so that we can rough with it, or so we think. But when we play clubs, if I now play a second club, West gains the lead, and West should realize that he can draw that last trump. It's very often a good strategy by the defense to play a low trump like that, drawing 2 of declarer's trumps. And here it gets rid of the last trump from dummy. So now declarer's in the same boat as before. They can get back to their hand, but they will probably have club losers at the end. So whatever happens there, they're going to lose the club loser, and they're going to lose 1 diamond 2. So again, that didn't work, just making 9 tricks there. It's probably best just to immediately play clubs on this hand. So win that one, cash the ace of clubs, and then play back a club. And the opponents will get in. They may realize what you're up to and may switch to a trump, but you're ahead of the game now. You can play another club, which they win. And East here, even if they had a trump left, they couldn't draw all your trump. As it is, they can't draw that. You play a king of spades, and now you just want to get back to your hand to rough that last club. So you can do that with the trump here, because you've got just 1 trump left in dummy to rough your 7 of clubs with. And once you've done that, now what you want to do is just draw that last trump. You might play a spade or a a diamond. Either way, you can get to your hand, draw that last trump, and you've just got one more loser now, the single diamond. So yeah, the best way to play this one is to avoid drawing trumps until you've roughed a club in dummy. And in fact, if I click on the GIB button here, it's a little slow today, it may tell you that in fact the best lead for the defense here, it's not coming up. Oh, the best lead for the defense is actually a heart, a trump. And if they keep plugging away at trump, they can prevent you roughing any clubs in dummy. Otherwise, you should be able to rough one of the clubs in dummy. Let me know if you have any questions on that. It's quite a tricky one. And here's another tricky one. West here opens 3 spades, North doubles, which is for takeout, and it comes over to you. You might be thinking of either passing this is a possibility, because you have 4 spades, although they're not very good spades, but you don't really think the opponents are going to make 3 spades. But anyway, you bid 4 hearts, and that ends the auction, and the opponents lead the king of spades. And you can see a slightly disappointing dummy, in the sense that they've only got 3 hearts there, but they are void in spades, and you need to stop to make a plan here. Now, let's think about it. There are a couple of ways of playing this. You might be thinking, and I think a lot of players are drawn to the idea of roughing spades in dummy. If you look at the south hand, you've got those spade losers in your own hand, but you might think you can rough those in dummy. The other way you could get rid of them is maybe by discarding them on the winners you've got. You've actually got a lot of winners in this hand. And actually, we'll before we play, let's just stop to take stock of how many tricks we might hope to make here. So if we look at the suits, let's leave the spades for now. But if we look at the heart suit, it seems like we've got 8 hearts missing the Queen Jack 10. But if those are divided 3-2, which they may or may not be, we will only lose 1 heart. In other words, we'd be able to make 4 heart tricks. In addition to the 4 heart tricks, we've got at least 3 diamond tricks, and we'll probably make all 5 club tricks. So that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Potentially, maybe we could make 12 tricks here. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes played in different ways. Let's see what happens if we try to rough the spades in dummy. So we rough that first one, of course, and now we want to get to our hand so that we can rough another spade. So maybe a diamond, and then play another spade, which we are able to rough. Now it's getting harder to get back to your hand to rough any more spades. And in fact, if I bring up the hands at this point, we can see that West, to open that 3 spades, is actually void in diamond. So if you were to try to get back to your hand by catching the ace of diamonds and roughing, that might well get over roughed. So let's suppose you decide instead to play the clubs, and you play 2 rounds of clubs. You play a club now, which you're planning to rough, but unfortunately that gets over roughed. And West here, if they play another spade, then you can rough that, but East gets to over rough that. And now it sort of gets even worse, because if they play a diamond here, West gets to rough that. A spade comes back, and East is able to rough there and wins another trick there. So a club comes back here. This time South roughs high, and is able to draw that last trump, but will be held to 9 tricks there. So what happened on that hand was we tried to rough the spades, and we got in a bit of a mess there, because we weren't able to draw trump and we weren't able to get back to my hand. How would it go if we tried to draw trump first? So let's suppose we rough that first one, and suppose we start by drawing 2 rounds of trumps. Well, this isn't a great idea because what we've done now is we've exhausted the trumps from the north hand, and there's still a trump out. So what we can do now is try to cash some tricks, so we can maybe discard spades on there, but the similar thing's going to happen. We're going to, when we play that last club, we're trying to discard our spades there. West is able to rough with their last trump because we didn't draw it. And now they can cash 2 spades. They can cash the queen and jack of spades. After that, declarer can win and claim the rest. We'll make 10 tricks there. So not drawing trumps wasn't particularly successful. Drawing trumps, as we did, wasn't a great strategy. Is there anything we can do? Well, the key to finding a better line here is realizing that in hearts, we're always expecting to lose a trick. And if you adopt the strategy of losing it early, it works out very well on this hand. So we rough that first one. And then, because we still expect to lose a trump trick, let's lose that now. Let's let them win that next heart. And now, as long as the hearts are now going to fall on the next 2 top hearts, we're in good shape, because whatever they play, if they play a spade, we can rough that in dummy. And now we just want to get back to our hand with a queen of diamonds, and we're going to now play the ace and king, and on this layout all the hearts fall, and now we can claim the rest. So that's really the best way to try to make 12 tricks on this hand. You rough the first one, and then let them win a trick in trumps, but then you're able to draw the remaining trumps and make all the 12 tricks you were hoping for. Anyone have any questions on that one? You may not necessarily agree with North's bid there. They doubled, although they only had 3 hearts. But you ended up in quite a good fit there. It was just a bit awkward to play if you draw trumps or if you don't draw trumps in the right way.